You who were here last year know that Milos and I got into a little discussion. It's all in fun. But what I said to him is, put it in writing. Now, all he had to do was put it in writing, but he didn't. In fact, not one person of the athletes, of any fan, no one put it in writing to us. We'd like a proposal to the pro division that prize money be given all the way down. That's what I asked Milos to do.
I did sit up.
Lee, you said too, Lee, right? You said that if I don't give the money, you're gonna stand up and walk out of here.
Yeah, I will. but I did sit up last night and I did put it in writing, so.
Now, because he put it in writing, and I know everything these guys are going to do.
They're like, Lee, that goes against our rules. Compete with another organisation. I said, wait a minute. I said,
oh, yeah? Like
yes, I'm with the
rules,
IFBB,
yeah.
but I pay for my pro card every year. You got to pay for it.
That's it.
I said, in the contract, I said, I'm an independent contractor. I said, you're not paying me to be with you. So this organisation come along, they got a contest that doesn't conflict with your contest, so I'm going to do it. If I can make extra money here, why not? I said, if we're going by the rule book, you've got convicted felons, that's against your rules. You've got guys and girls doing pornographic stuff. I said, why don't they get in trouble? Oh, you're going to be difficult? Your 1 year suspension, now it's 2 years. I said, fucking
really?
make it 4, I don't care. But then I started doing a radio show. On that radio show, I'd talk about the politics, good and bad. But because I did that, they said, okay, now you're suspended for life. So I'm like, I don't give a shit. So.
Lee Priest, the Australian bodybuilding legend, wasn't just known for his incredible physique, he was infamous for speaking his mind. From dissecting contest rules to calling out judging decisions, Lee flexed his opinions just as hard as his muscles. Naturally, the IFBB, the heavyweight organization in bodybuilding, wasn't thrilled about one of the stars publicly airing grievances.
Not
really. Even?
No, but then I said, it was like, when I looked at the bodybuilding magazines, it's like, okay, I like Arnold's arms, but I like Tom Platzer's legs. It was always like the freaky body parts. I never really liked one bodybuilder.
Oh, yeah, really,
in general, no.
So at what point then do you think that it went from being like Mr. He-Man and being from a fitness family to you recognizing that you want to go into competitions? And did everyone around you just say like, bro, like, I know you're not full into it, but you can go somewhere?
That's pretty much how it started, because when I was 13 years old, that's when I'd done my first 3 contests and won them at 13.
Yeah.
And then at 14, I did a men's open and placed third in a men's open class against guys 20, 30 years old.
Against adults?
Yeah.
This around Newcastle?
Yeah. The first show I won was in Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
They had like a schoolboys division, 18 years and under.
Yeah.
So I was only 13 at the time, and I won 3 that year. And then 15, I think I won my first state title, but it wasn't probably until I won my first Mr. Australia at 17 and got runner-up in the universe. And I thought, I might keep doing it.
Yeah.
But then normally too, when you win your national title, you get a pro card.
Yeah.
But of course, I was 17, they said I was too young. So when I was 18, I won the national title again, still said I was too young.
Oh, no way.
19, I won it for the 3rd time. I said, I'm not coming back again. So at 19, a guy, Lou Zuick, used to run this American Muscle show on ESPN.
Yep.
So he flew me to America to do Niagara Falls amateur show.
Yep.
When I was in Gold's gym, Jim Mannion was there. He runs the IFBB now in NPC.
That was in LA?
Yeah.
Yep.
In Venice, California. And he said, what are you doing? I said, the Niagara Falls. He goes, what have you done? I said, well, I've won the Mr. Australia this many times. He's like, well, why don't you have a pro card? I said, they won't give me one. So he called up Wayne DeMille at the time, who was running the pro division. They contacted Paul Graham in Australia, and I got my pro card. And I was originally going to America for 2 weeks.
Yep.
In my first week at Gold's, they took some photos, sent them to Joe Weider. I got a contract, so 2 weeks turned into 18 years.
Lee Priest didn't shy away from controversy. When he disagreed with the IFBB, he spoke out, sometimes harshly.
And there's a lot of guys who have, like I said, who have retired probably only 5 years ago, you never hear about again. And like I said, I haven't competed now for 11 years, and I'm still talked about. That's why I always laugh sometimes, because I'll post something and people are like, oh, you're so fucking irrelevant, blah. And I'm thinking, well, you just commented on my thing, so I must be somewhat irrelevant. I'm somewhat relevant if you're
posting and talking about me. So
100%.
He participated in non-sanctioned competitions as a form of protest, making it clear that he wouldn't play by the establishment rules. This rebellious streak earned him suspensions from the IFBB and made him a polarizing figure within the bodybuilding world.
And I started doing the radio show with John Romano, the VPX Shotgun Show, where we talked about anything. We just pretty much answered questions that people wanted to know. And the thing is too, is like I said, they always say we're negative about the IFBB, but we said a lot of positive things. We just answered the questions that were given. Anyone that's in the IFBB over the last few years knows that sometimes if you tell the truth, even in your commentaries of contests and this and that, you'll get a phone call from them and you could lose your press passes, your press badges. I was actually going over to, I think it was Sweden or somewhere overseas, to guest pose at a show. Then about 2 weeks before I got a phone call saying, Lee, I can't have you come. The IFBB just told me if I bring you over, they're gonna take the affiliation off him and suspend his athletes. And by the way, they told me you been suspended for life. So that's when I found out I was suspended for life from the IFBB.
You know, he got banned in and out of the organization. He switched, he went to another one. And I mean, he's just been very outspoken his whole career. I think, you know, he could have been much better bodybuilder if he would have stayed true to just following some sort of rules, but obviously he didn't want to do that. I don't think he was blacklisted. I think he blacklisted himself more than they blacklisted him. You know, he still could have came in the industry and still been super popular, but he chose to kind of not stay present.
Lee became a whistleblower of sorts, exposing the behind-the-scenes politics of the IFBB. From judging controversy to rules enforcement, he peeled back the curtain on the initial workings of bodybuilding's most powerful organizations, the IFBB.
Wait till we get you the monsters. So let me pull this up. So Paul, I got the videos here. Okay, I'm gonna play two of them. Okay. And I want to see your reaction, obviously see what you're going to say here, and then I want to play Sean's video, and then I want to get a reaction from you. So here's you. You'll know exactly when this is. Let's watch this one here. This is you.
I have a question for Wade. With you guys, the IFBB banning the use of Synthroid, how do you plan on enforcing that for the contest?
Quite honestly, the problem we're having is that the lab is having a tough time coming up with a test.
At that time, yes.
To recognize Synthroid in the urine. They thought they had a test, they didn't. So the judges will be instructed that if the muscle looks unnatural, and you can see Synthroid on the lights, they'll be instructed to vote the athlete down.
I would do something that nobody does in this sport. I was the head of pro bodybuilding.
Okay.
I was the promoter of the Olympia.
Yeah.
And I would do the press conference, and the press conference was not staged like now.
Okay.
Where they have things. I would let anybody ask me anything, and I would answer it because I had nothing to hide. One time, our buddy Sean goes, "Why aren't we getting more money?" Because the athletes could ask too. I could be a target. Anybody could ask. If you want to ask me a question, Jim Mannion going to answer questions? You know, did David Pecker answer questions when he was running the Olympia? Jim Mannion's running everything now there. Did Rafael Santoka do that? Nobody. I went out there. We'd have 1,500 people at the press conference. I made the guy, they didn't like it, I made them dress in a suit. They're not dressed in suits now at the press conference. I wanted them to look professional. You know, you take NBA players. They go on a plane, they gotta be dressed. You're representing your league. You're representing your profession. You're a professional. Look it. You know, they didn't want, you're going to go up there on sweatsuits and everything? No, you go dressed. Once a year, you buy a suit and you go dressed. And a lot of fans saying, wow, the guys look so good. And you know, the guys would get into colorful things. You could look at some of those outfits, colorful, wild. It was different and fans loved it. Like I said, 1,500 people at the press conference.
Let me play this other one. Here's.
100,000 people don't watch that webcast.
Yeah, this is it.
Last year we did it for free. Less than 7,000 people came in worldwide. Actual numbers, Sean, you can check with the leader company. Okay, that was for free. This year, depending on what kind of modem you have, is how much you pay. We'll see how many people log on there. So it's not $1 million or 25 million. Your math is a little off, Sean. It's 2.5 million. Would be the math correct. But anyway, we're not making $1 million. Okay? Secondly, Sean's mouth has never heard of it in a contest. Judges don't care. Sean can say what he wants. He knows I always tell him that. No problem. Third, what I will do, this is the third time in all the years I've been involved I've done this, and the other 2 times, again, we had problems with athletes confronting judges aggressively. I will instruct Carlo Tiani, who's doing this on computer, to set up the program, give down a breakdown sheet to everybody. Okay? Everybody for this.
Once I left, Mannion didn't do that.
The judges are supposed to stand behind their score.
Here's the thing. Sean made things, the Weider Company tried to do a webcast. And Sean said something like, you got, 100,000 people watching it at $10 a piece, that's $1 million, where's our money? It wasn't that money. And Vince Scalise, who was the editor of Muscle and Fitness at the time that was doing it, I said, there's Vince right there. Vince, how many people did it? And Vince told him. They did it for 2 years. They lost money 2 years. You're in the production business. Think about doing a webcast back then, 20 years ago, with 3-4 cameras and everything else. Your production cost was run $40,000, $50,000. They were barely breaking even.
His outspoken nature brought attention to issues that were usually swept under the rug. Lee represented a rebel punk attitude, with his iconic photo being the middle finger to the corrupted federation, which was the IFBB during the time.
Hey, you heard it from him. That's a legitimate, perfect, truthful answer from Lee. Okay, he says Flex Lewis, William Bonac. He likes that 3D look. Lee, the Olympia this year. Okay, Ramy out, Phil out, Kai out, Sean out. Is this, in Lee Priest's mind, a legitimate Mr. Olympia?
It is to a point, because the guys who are doing it are still trained there. They can't control who's going to be in the show or not in the show, but I do feel sorry for them, because you're going to have all the naysayers no matter who wins. If Dexter wins, he's a past Mr. Olympia. Okay, apart from Dexter, if he doesn't win, there's going to be a new Mr. Olympia.
Correct.
But sadly for that guy, he's busted his ass to be there. He can't control if Phil's going to be there or Sean Road, and that's out of his control. So sadly, whoever does win it, they'll probably get, well, you only won it because Phil wasn't there, because Sean wasn't there, because like that. It's always going to have that stigma. And plus, it is exciting having a new Mr. Olympia, but I always think it's good too when, if there's going to be a new Mr. Olympia, like if Sean come back, I think Bob said it once before too, people like Phil Heath or the Ronnies and that, they're like, when you know they're coming back, you think, well, if they're in shape, no one's going to beat them.
Right.
Whereas Sean coming back, as good as Sean is still beatable.
Right.
So having a Mr. Olympia come back knowing he can get beat, that makes it more exciting too, to knock out the champion. So not having the champion there does take away a little bit of the excitement and stuff, but it still should be.
Despite his controversies, Lee Priest's career was filled with, accolades. His competitions and titles cemented his place as one of the greatest in bodybuilding. But his outspokenness often overshadowed these achievements, as his clashes with the IFBB made headlines and divided the bodybuilding community.
The most popular bodybuilder at that moment in time.
Yeah, no, it's never, like I said, people think all the time, they'll be saying, look what Lee's doing to the IFBB, Lee were against the IFBB, but no, it's like, I've been with the IFBB so long, and then, when Wayne used to run the show, and Wayne, I would always clash, but, I still respected Wayne. So when Wayne, like 06, I won the Ironman, did the Arnold, stuff like that, did the Australian Pro Show, and then Wayne was starting up this new organisation. I just figured, I'd give it a go, and people like, oh, look at Lee, he's throwing this in the IFBB's face, he's trying a new thing, because to me it was like, it was just a different organisation competing with different people. It's just something new to try, because I've been with the IFBB for 14 years. It was never, let me shove this in your face, I'm going to do this to you. It was just, you've been in the job for so long, you just want to try something different, and that's all it was.
Yeah,
so,
but you were at the pinnacle of your career. You were at the peak of your powers. You had everyone behind you.
Yeah, to me, like I said, I love training. To me, I'll always train. The competing and where I was, the fame and that, or money, that doesn't matter to me. As long as I can train, that's what it matters. I was never driven by money or fame and this sort of thing. So to me, it's just like another contest. I'll go do it. And then when law happened and I did get suspended, I got a year's suspension, and then Bob was like, well, if you don't do the other show, it'll just be 1 year. If you do, it'll be 2 years. I said, look, I signed on to do the show. I'm happy to take the 2-year suspension. If those are the rules, they're the rules. I'll take the 2-year suspension, which I did. And in 2008, I got my pro card back, and at the same time, my grandfather passed away, so I moved back home to Australia. And from like 09, 010, I was guest posing for the IFBB in Australia, New Zealand and stuff like that. And just because my grandfather passed away, and when I moved back home, I was going to get ready for a contest that he was going to help me, but because he wasn't there, I just lost that passion and fire. So around 2010, I was just like, you know what, I just don't have that passion anymore to compete. So I just let my pro card lapse and didn't renew it, and that's the main reason I got out of the, competing in the IFBB. It wasn't because I'm like, fuck you, IFBB, I've had a gutful. It's just because with my grandfather passing away, like I said, when I was moving home, he was always there when I was younger to help me get ready for shows and prepare for shows. And when he passed away, I sort of started preparing for a contest in 08, 09. I was talking to Tony about doing a show, but yet I just didn't have that fire and drive because he wasn't there. So I just thought, forget it, I'll just train, I won't compete ever again. And then, like I said, I just let the pro card go, and that was it. So that was the main reason I sort of stopped competing and wasn't no longer a member of the IFBB, because I figured, well, why keep my pro card, because I'm not going to compete anymore.
Lee's thought to challenge the IFBB came with some serious real consequences: suspensions, strained relationships, and reputation as the most hated athlete in the organization. Yet this never stopped him from standing up for what he believed in, showing that sometimes challenging the system comes at a personal cost. But Lee Priest was the type of guy who did not care. Lee Priest's journey is more than just a story of muscles and competition. It's a story of courage, controversy, conviction. He proved that standing up for your beliefs in a rigid system isn't easy, but it leaves a lasting impact on the sport. His legacy is a blend of, inspiring physical achievements and fearless honesty that reshaped how many view bodybuilding politics today. So overall, if you guys really think that the IFBB is that evil of a sport, comment down below your thoughts. Peace.
Bye, have a great time.